Hey everyone, and welcome to Television from the Multiverse, the DC TV podcast from MailFuzz TV. I am Peter, over there is Connor, and this is where we talk about DC TV shows, of course, and it's the off-season, which means we don't have any new shows to talk about, so we are still continuing our way through Season 1 of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, Smallville, and we're going to be doing 2 episodes of Young Justice Season 2. So that is what's on the docket this week. Plus, there's some news to talk about. But you know, it's nice when they give us news, especially in the off season, because there's less shows to talk about. So it's like, yeah, here's something to talk about.
We hate it if we've got 5 or 6 shows on.
Yeah, we do. But right now, it's like, yes, give us lots of juicy news, because then there's some relevant, actual, current DC TV conversation to have. And then some weeks it's just, no, here's 4 old shows. That's what we're doing this week. But yeah, so that's what's coming up on the show. So you can look forward to that. And this is episode 45, which is not that important a number, but it doesn't mean we're getting close to 50.
Yeah, 45.
Which makes sense, because we started at the start of last season. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, as I say, we should be about a year, give or take, when the new seasons start.
Give or take, yeah.
Give or take a week or two, depending on, because they're being a bit funny this year with spacing them all out.
That, plus we had a week or 2 off. We've not consistently hit every single. I think we've had like 50 out of 52 weeks by the time we get there. Assuming we don't miss any more.
Yeah.
So, we'll be close. Anyway, so yeah, we had some news. Some stuff concerning the crossover this year, which we still don't have a title for. I feel like by this time last year we knew it was going to be Earth X or Crisis on Earth X.
We did, because they announced the title. I think it was at Comic-Con when they announced the crossover.
They're keeping it
all at one go.
Keeping it very hush-hush this year. But kind of interesting. I say kind of, because it's not really that big a deal. So the dates for the crossover, it's a week later than last year, because last year it was in November. I'm sure it started. The last week in November, give or take. This year it started on December 9th. And then going to be on 10th and the 11th. It's going to be 3 shows. We already talked about before how Legends of Tomorrow is not going to be included this year. It's going to be just Flash, Supergirl, and Arrow. The interesting part here, which I don't think it's a big deal, but it might hint towards where Batwoman might end up, or what world she belongs to, I think. Because obviously last year they moved Arrow so that they could have 2 shows on 2 nights. So it was like 4 shows on 2 nights. It was 2 doubles, essentially. 2 2-hour sort of event parts. That made some sense. This year you get 3 episodes, so it's still just 1 per night, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Makes sense. However, they're still making a point of switching some shows around, because normally Supergirl is going to be on Sunday, and Flash is going to be on Tuesday. Instead, they're going to switch. Flash is going to be on the Sunday, and Supergirl is going to be on the Tuesday. And given that it's going to end on Supergirl, that makes me feel that Supergirl might end up being the most relevant to whatever Batwoman is going to end up.
I think so, especially combined with the other piece of news we have with this.
Well, I'll get to that next. Just focusing on the scheduling.
I know. I'm just giving a tease.
Yeah, a tease. I think that's really the only notable thing here. Although it does make me think that maybe this year they won't go full on, like during last year. It's like it wasn't like each part was like an episode of that show. It was just no. This was Crisis on Earth X parts 1 through 4. It didn't really matter which one belonged to which show. Now, I kind of hope it still is this year, because I prefer it that way rather than.
But the fact that they've jumbled the episodes.
Yeah, it makes me think it's at least relatively or minor important that it's Supergirl's the last one.
Yeah. So no, I agree with that.
We'll see. It also makes me worry that maybe like she won't even be that involved for the first 2 parts until it becomes relevant to her world. I could be wrong there. That may not happen.
Yeah, I know we've had that before, where with that first crossover with her, and it was like, it was like 2 minutes at the end or something like that.
Yeah, hopefully it's more the whole 3 thing, and it's just Supergirl that's last because it ends, and the ending's important to Supergirl, and that's why Supergirl's last, as opposed to each of the 3 episodes are going to be really, this is an episode of Flash with some crossover elements, this is an episode of Arrow with some crossover, because let's face it, when it's not an episode of Arrow and it's just an episode of crossover, it's a much better episode for us.
Every time. Yeah.
Every time. That's what really hurt the Invasion, because I really enjoyed the Invasion crossover, but what hurt it was the fact that Arrow's 100th was in the middle of it, so they had to kind of devote that episode to just Arrow things, and it was like, oh, you're sucking the life out of the middle of this.
And I get it, you kind of have to for 100th.
No, I get it too.
But disappointing.
Which is actually a good point. Does Flash's 100th this year fall? Is that episode 100? Is that December 9th?
It's usually that week, isn't it?
Oh, see, it's weird this year because they're starting them all in different weeks, so it's hard to.
Yeah, but what they usually do is they have breaks so that they have the crossover on the same number, don't they?
Yeah, but if they want to avoid Flash's 100, so they're not having to do that in the crossover, they might
Flash
do
is
that
starting first, though, isn't it? So it'd have to be one ahead. So we'd have to have the 100th the week before.
Yes, which to be fair, it's starting like it's just 1 week before the other two. It doesn't really matter when Legends or Black Lightning are starting.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's why though. Maybe that's why Flash is a week earlier.
Could be.
Maybe that's the reason for it. If they can keep the schedule, which I don't know. They usually have at least one break before Christmas.
Yeah.
Unless they all have a break, though. That's the other thing. No, they're still going to have a break. They're all going to have a scheduled break. So
yeah.
Therefore, it'll still be a week ahead. So, okay, that adds up. That adds up. Where's the calendar, hon? Starts on October 9th or something like that.
Yeah, like 10th, so around there. That week, sure.
Yeah, Tuesday, October 9th. Yeah, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait, hold on. How many total are we on just now for Flash? Because it's like 23 times 4, right?
Yeah. It's usually the episode 8, right?
Well, no, because I'm used to shows having 22 episodes. Because normally it's episode 10 or no, episode 12 of.
So I'm knocking off the 4.
Okay, sure. Then episode 8. So in that case, yeah, it'd be the episode before the cross. In fact, 2 weeks before the crossover.
Right. Okay.
Because it would be the 27th of November, assuming there's no week break. So it can have a week break and still have it a week early.
Okay, then that's not too bad.
Okay. All right.
See how it goes.
Don't have to worry about it. And I mean, it's not necessarily a terrible idea. It's just that Arrows did kind of interrupt the Invasion crossover because they had to focus on Arrows celebrating its lifespan and everything else. Yeah. That's where we get to enjoy.
That'd be a weird way to kick off a crossover.
It would be. So that's where we get to enjoy them celebrating Flash's 100th, because 100th episodes usually tend to go all out. They like to celebrate it. Most shows do.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Arrow did. I mean, we lost interest in Arrow by that point. But if you still enjoyed the show, it did a decent job of bringing back various things.
It did. I would say if it was a different crossover, if we didn't know what this crossover was exactly, I'd be speculating, oh, maybe whatever happens in the 100th actually ripples out to the other shows.
Flashy, multiversey, timey-wimey things.
But with it being Batwoman, I don't think so.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We don't know like how central she is to the plot. Like, is she like directly tied to the main plot, or is she like is there like a main villain and then she's just someone who's like fought the main villain before and then shows up to help later on as an introduction? Because I almost see her being like the cliffhanger at the end of one of the first 2 parts, right? Rather than being there from the start.
Yeah, potentially.
She'll swoop in and save someone's ass, and then it'll be like the full shot of Batwoman in an outfit, and that'll be like cut to.
I felt that's the end of episode 1, surely.
Possibly. It wouldn't surprise me though if it was the end of episode 2.
Maybe.
It wouldn't shock me. But yeah, end of episode 1 probably is when we get that reveal.
I'm just saying that because I'd rather that be on Flash and not Arrow.
Even though arguably Batwoman goes better with Walmart Batman than she does anyone else.
Yeah. But which one's the better show and which one's it going to look better on?
Oh my god, I hope she makes fun of Ollie. I hope she's like, you're like a shitty version of my cousin. What is this? You got all your little sidekicks.
I don't want to be going through my cousin bollocks again.
You go to all this shit with like, you've got all your little sidekicks, your Arsenal and Speedy, like, yeah. Well, we've got Robins and Batgirls. We're doing fine over here.
I forgot we're going to have the my cousin bullshit.
Why is that bullshit? What's wrong with that?
I got sick of it at that first season of Supergirl. I'm just sick of hearing that. Even on Supergirl now, when she says, "Oh, my cousin," once a season maybe. I'm sick of it.
Yeah, but she says Clark often enough that it's not a big deal.
No, she does. But it just reminds me of a time where they didn't say Clark.
Because it's not a problem where it's interchangeable, where sometimes she'll say Clark, sometimes she'll say Cal, sometimes she'll say Superman. It's fine because you just interchange them. But yeah, the only problem with season 1 of Supergirl was that it was cousin for the pilot. Like, it was just always cousin.
It was yeah. And now it has bad connotations.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, they let up with that a little bit early in season because they started mentioning Clark, because I think they got the reactions to the pilot early on, and then they started inserting Clark just here or there.
Yeah, I think it was like after episode 6 or 7.
No. Episode 3, and I remember this because the joke with Win always made me laugh, where he realizes Clark Kent is Superman because they mentioned Clark.
Okay, is that episode 3?
It was episode 3 or 4. It was that early.
Fair enough. I thought it was slightly later than that.
Because I always remember laughing my ass off at that, thinking, no, because it was the first time they actually mentioned him by name, and then we got this joke where Wynn's like, Clark Kent is Superman. Holy shit! Like that.
Oh man, I'm gonna miss Wynn.
I know he's still recurring. He'll be back.
Yeah, they said that about Kat as well.
She's been back
Like once.
twice.
Oh, I'm sorry, twice. Once a season.
Once a season's better than none a season.
It is, but it's a significant.
Yeah, but here's the difference though. She's actively living in a different city and doesn't want to be in Canada. Whereas when I'm pretty sure Jeremy Jordan's not that uptight. He's going to be around.
He could be a very busy man.
I'm sure they've got plans for him. Jeremy Jordan will be back. Anytime they dangle a musical number in front of him, he'll just come running back. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, probably.
So the other news we got about the crossover this week, which is exciting, and this is something that I think we openly asked for in the last two crossovers when we talked about them, whenever we reviewed them, was the idea that it would be cool if Superman got involved in the crossover. The idea that we need all the big guns, and Supergirl says, hey, do you want a second one of me? Because we can do that. And brings in Superman. Now, I'm not sure if that's exactly how it's going to happen, but he might just be around at the time when things go down. But Superman will be part of the crossover this year, which is cool. It's the first time I've seen him since the season 2 finale of Supergirl. So
in a while, yeah.
We saw him on the TV technically at one point this season of Supergirl, but it was it was like stock footage. So that'll be cool. But the other news is that he's going to be bringing Lois Lane with him, who we haven't had yet. So we're going to cast a Lois. We're going to have a Lois in this universe.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's like, let's just do Batman, let's just do Wonder Woman, and then everyone, and a Green Lantern, and that's everyone. We've got all the main bases covered at that point.
I think this tells me a couple of things. I think this is part of the reason why Supergirl is last, because Superman will show up at the end.
Superman will be in the last part, yeah.
And Lois will be exclusively on the Supergirl episode.
Yeah, that makes a lot. Especially since she might guest star later if she's visiting National City for a news story or something later.
Yeah. I also think, my first thoughts when this was announced was, okay, I think we're on Supergirl's Earth here.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, here's the other thing.
The Superman alone, I could discount, but Lois, I feel like, okay, Lois isn't doing some multiversal hopping.
Yeah. So the fun of this here is that they're going to be like up against something that's so bad that they're struggling, and they need Superman to come in and help fight. That's a pretty exciting prospect. That they're down and out, and it's like, is there anyone else we can call? And Supergirl's like, not the Ghostbusters, but I do have someone, and she calls in Superman. That'll be a really fun big moment when the moment he lands and like takes a punch or punches whoever the enemy is, right?
Yeah.
Whoever they have, that could be really fun. The other thing that I immediately thought though is that if Batwoman's on this Earth and Superman's there's going to be a Batman reference from Superman, right?
Do you know what? I've actually seen a lot of people speculating. All the times we've had Batman references.
Mm-hmm.
It's never been by name.
Yeah,
the closest we got was the pointy ears from Wynn.
Well, you think it was just always Batwoman?
Some people have been speculating that could it just been Batwoman was operating.
I don't think so. I think they'll treat it just like Supergirl, where he exists out in the world, and I think they'll have some pokes and fun at it when Superman sees her, and they'll be like, I don't know. Like,
see, I wish we could have like Batman show up and be like, oh, so that's what this is like, having another one. But referring to Clark and Supergirl.
Oh, does that work though? I mean, he's already got like several sidekicks presumably at this point.
Well, yeah, okay, but that doesn't matter. You don't know.
Technically, in the timeline, there's been at least 2 Batgirls by the time Batwoman shows up, but that doesn't mean it's happened in the show. I agree. But...
Yeah, exactly. I'm assuming at this point, until told otherwise, it's just Batman and Batwoman. Until told otherwise.
No, Robin's before Batwoman. I know. Dick Grayson comes first.
No, normally I agree, but
Dick always comes first, and that's just good advice for sex in general. But
it's very selfish of you.
Hey, I'm not saying I'm happy about it. I'm just stating it happens. All right. So, none of that matters to Batwoman, of course.
No.
I'll keep this joke going. It's so easy. So I'm excited about the prospects of some Batman references. Not because I feel like we have to reference Batman. That's the only thing that could be exciting. I just think if we set up the idea that Batman and Superman have that relationship, that friendship, that sort of starts begrudgingly, but over time they become, world's finest, blah blah blah. There's this fun here a joke about that. I can almost see like at one point, like maybe Batwoman doesn't know that much about Supergirl, and at one point they mention their cousins, and like she'll just sort of like, huh, and just sort of laugh to herself a little bit, like, oh, you two
Now I
are
know the
cousins.
feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, because
So what I'm looking forward to is especially if Batwoman is on Supergirl's Earth, is the smaller crossovers. We got a lot between Supergirl and Flash.
Yeah, it makes sense. Just the idea of having the two ladies cross over a lot more.
Yeah, and also we can have World's Finest.
Yeah, it's a Bat and a Super. That's a big thing that we all like.
And I'm like, yeah, I really want this.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of reasons.
But I'm excited that we're getting a Lois as well.
Yeah, cool. Lois is cool. I always like a Lois. Can't be worse than Bosworth. So that's the baseline, and then up from there.
Yeah.
Up and away, hopefully.
It says a lot about that choice there, that Smallville exists, and that's still not the worst Lois.
No, it's not. Erica Durance is fine. Like, I mean, she was given a lot of horrible things to say and do, but she was fine in terms of how she, she's a bit more bland. Yeah. Like, she's not as good as Hatcher, she's not as good as Kidder, but like, she's fine.
She's in the ballpark.
She doesn't look dead in the eyes like Bosworth did.
Yeah.
But
you really don't like her, do you?
I don't even dislike the actress. I just hate her in that movie. I think she is easily the worst Lois Lane ever. There's like, why are Superman and Cyclops fighting over her? I don't get it. She looks at me and I feel like I want to die inside. Not in a good way.
Yeah. Can't really argue with this.
She's awful. That movie's full of a lot of forgettable versions of characters, but hers is not forgettable in the worst way possible.
Yeah.
Because I don't really remember the Perry or the Jimmy that well. I can think of them, but they're not.
They don't spring to mind, do they?
They're just kind of forgettable and bland. But hey. So, we get Lois Lane, we're getting Superman, which ups the ante for whatever this crossover is, makes Green Arrow feel even more useless. Because he's Green Arrow.
I'm okay with that.
It also kind of spoils that no matter what happens next season on Arrow, he'll be out of prison by the time we hit the crossover.
That was always going to be the case.
That's true. Do you know what? I will give them points if it takes at least 3 episodes to get him out of prison. Because part of me's thinking it'll be the end of episode 1.
Yeah. And to be fair here, this isn't just Arrow that gets shit for this, because Flash has had the same problem.
We give the same shit to Flash every year for this crap, where they just revert whatever they did.
We like to bash on Arrow because it's easy and it's fun.
Yes. But
this problem specifically, Arrow could actually outdo Flash here, potentially.
It could. Although that said, last season's cliffhanger with the island blowing up and who's dead and who's not was kind of a wet blanket in
that
of itself.
That might be the worst cliffhanger from these shows yet.
I mean, sure, who was in the pod at the end of Supergirl season 1 wasn't actually that exciting, but at least someone was in the pod, and it was clearly what we're going to address right away.
I think the worst ones are Arrow season 5, was that one?
5,
and then the end of Flash season 1. I think that one was bullshit.
I can see that. Yeah, because at least at the end of season 2, when he's running to do Flashpoint, it's like, oh, I know what that means. That's big and exciting.
Yeah, and at least Flashpoint happened. Underwhelming, but it happened.
It did. Yeah, no, it was only 1 episode. It should have been longer.
Whereas episode, the first episode of season 2, it's like, okay, Thing in the Sky's fixed now.
It's a shame we weren't crossing over as much at that point in terms of these big ones, because I feel like for Flashpoint, what you should have done is start Flash a month earlier. And I get that this is a nightmare to schedule, whatever, but just ideal world. You start Flash a month earlier, and Flashpoint has like an evil Supergirl at war with like Oliver Queen, because they don't have Atlantis and Wonder Woman and stuff, but use the characters from the other shows to have like the epic Flashpoint.
Yeah,
version.
Kind of the sort of stuff we were doing in Crisis on Earth X.
Kind of,
the evil versions.
Kind of, yeah. So who's the villain going to be in this crossover? They're keeping it hush hush.
Impressively so, actually, because we've not really heard any rumblings at all.
Do you know what I'm looking forward to? And this is what I used for the thumbnails last year, because we always do like a special just for the crossover. And it'll just be 1 episode this year, because it's just like a 3-night, 1 episode each kind of thing.
Yeah, it was different last year. We did it we did 2 parts.
Yeah, well, it's because they were both like doubles, so I felt like there was enough meat to really sink into. I feel like this year it's going to be like, I mean, we might get it out a day early potentially, because the crossover will be over on the Tuesday maybe. But I mean, I haven't promised anything.
Still got the other shows to do, though, haven't we, that week?
Um,
Black Lightning and Legends.
We'll see. We'll see if they're on that week. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, they might give them a week off to just give this the spotlight.
They might do, yeah. And
Oh.
and yeah, and Tuesday's the last day typically anyway. So I mean, we might get it up a day earlier than we would not otherwise, but we'll see when the time
We'll
comes.
see how the schedule lines up.
But what was I going to say? I was going to say something. We tangented on to talking about how to schedule that I forgot what my point was going to be. Oh yeah, the thumbnail. They do those like based on the comic cover kind of art for it with all the actors' faces, and those are always really good.
They are, yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what this one's going to be, and seeing what we get from it. So
those are good even when they do the small, like not even for the crossover ones. You know, when we first got Jay Garrick.
yeah, we got the two flashes, the classic cover with the wall between them.
Yeah, they've been really good with those.
Oh, the Supergirl Flash race, which was like that old Superman Flash race cover. Yeah, they've done quite a lot of good little ones of those. So I'm curious to see. Although the Crisis on Earth X was actually drawn art, which was really cool. So,
yeah.
I hope we get another one of those. And yeah, we'll see. I don't even have a guess, to be honest. Like I feel like we can't do evil versions from Another Earth because we've done that already.
Yeah, you can do it again probably, but not twice in a row.
I feel like, yeah, I'm not sure what the big bad's going to have to be. I'm curious to find out. I'm really curious.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but we were told that we are going to be seeing Gotham in this crossover.
That's true. That's the thing, though. If you think of a Gotham-based villain, though, none of them feel like something you have to call in Superman for.
They don't, do they?
Unless it's like a Gotham mastermind who's like manipulating whoever the muscle is.
Could be, yeah.
Which makes me wonder, do we get a Gotham villain? Like, do we get like a Scarecrow or a Hugo Strange or something who's pulling the strings?
I can see some of them being up for grabs. Hugo Strange is a good one.
I mean, so obviously the first thing you say is Joker, but they're not getting Joker, so that's not happening.
It's not happening. I think we can rule out Joker for sure. I don't know. Maybe everyone else is maybe up for grabs.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, as much as Two-Face feels big enough not to be able to get him, but at the same time, not really doing anything with him anywhere else, so, you know.
No. I mean, we've got a Batman movie in production, but that was using Deathstroke, right? Last we heard.
Well, last we heard, but I mean,
yeah, last we heard. God knows what's going on with that.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows what that's doing with that? But we'll find out. We'll find out. I mean, obviously, I think the thing you think of here, and kind of like what they've done before, is can you swap out like Batman for Batwoman, and swap out Superman for Supergirl, and have Flash and Green Arrow. I guess it's kind of also Batman in a way, in a sense. But can you think of a story that's kind of that core 3 or 4 characters that revolves around them that we can kind of adapt, or is it just going to be like a general event that we had? Because they've been kind of small events. Like Crisis on Earth X isn't one that you think of when you think of DC comic events.
No,
Invasion's a bit bigger than that, but it's still not huge.
It's just it's a reasonable sized event. It's just not been relevant in so long.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I wonder if they stick with the word crisis though. That they make that a thing every year. It's like crisis something, crisis on or crisis of this or something crisis, whatever.
Crisis in Gotham.
Sure. Yes. Not in. That sounds a bit shit. Just saying crisis in Gotham, but I don't know. Crisis of the night or something. I don't know. But pizzazz.
Depends how much they want to just be like, look, we're doing Gotham, we're doing Batwoman.
Or Nights in Crisis with with a K, so Nights in Crisis or something. I don't know.
That works.
I don't know, whatever. Anyway, a little bit of Supergirl news. Just a quick thing. We did have data. We had Brent Spiner, who was going to play the vice president. He's had to drop out of the role due to some scheduling and what is quoted as family issues, which could mean just about anything. But he's been replaced by Bruce Boxleitner, who is interesting because I just started watching Babylon 5 for the channel and reviewing that every week. I've not actually gotten to him yet. He replaces the main character in season 2, but he's like known mainly for Babylon 5. So we're getting Bruce Boxleitner in season 4 as the vice president.
Still pulling from that sci-fi TV web.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Do you know what's funny? There's a picture of both of them here in this article, and they've both got very similar sort of slick back, like grey hair. And I'm just like, yeah, you basically found another capable actor who's got a similar look to him.
Yeah, one out, one in.
Yeah, pretty much. And speaking of casting, Doom Patrol this week got some out of nowhere casting for Robotman. Did you see this?
I did. Yeah.
You did. Brendan Fraser It's going to be on Doom Patrol. George of the Jungle is going to dodge the tree and swing right into Doom Patrol.
Very good. You got any more?
I never saw Dudley Do Right, so if I can think of any mummy-based puns, I'll think of one. But
okay, cool. I have heard some people or some websites reporting that it's just the voice he's providing. He's not doing any mocap or anything like that.
That's fair, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know how accurate those are, admittedly. Some sites have reported that, others haven't.
And the one hand, I'm like, oh yeah, you get a bigger star because it's just voice work. It's like, it's like getting a big actor for an animated series. It's easier to do because it's just a couple of, it's a weekend in a booth every few weeks for, however many episodes. But at the same time, Brendan Fraser's hardly a big star anymore, so I'm like, you probably could get him on a TV show now. He's not.
I don't think it's implausible to think that they have just got him there. Just interesting to see if it's in a full capacity or if it's just a voice role.
I mean, it has been a while since even the third Mummy movie. It's not like he's.
I mean, we've rebooted it since then.
We have, and yet Scorpion King 5 just is coming out on direct-to-video in the next month.
Yeah, it is.
I don't get it. I hated the first Scorpion King. I never watched any of the sequels. It was garbage.
I can't blame you. No, I just madness.
Anyway, all right. Well, that was the news. Nice meaty chunk of news this week. That'll take us out of the shows then, and we're starting off as we have been on these off-season weeks with. I don't know what I almost said there, but it was not the title of the show. Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. This is going to be season 1, episode 19. It is called Fly Hard, and as soon as I saw the title, I remembered exactly what episode this was.
I didn't see the title, and I got like 3 minutes into the episode. I was like, okay, we're doing this. Cool.
Yeah, we're doing the Die Hard episode where Daily Planet's under siege by terrorists.
And do you know what? We tick off 2 obligatory episodes in this. We do the Die Hard episode and the one in the past where the actors play all the other characters.
Yeah, we do that. Also, I think this is the last episode with Kat, actually.
Is it?
Yeah, we'll have 2 episodes left of the season, and she's not in season 2. I think I remember vaguely from my last watch thinking she wasn't in the last 2 because she misses the odd one here or there.
Yeah.
So I think this is the last one we had Kat in, which is a shame because it was a shame to lose her. She's not like a major character in that she has great plots, but she's
so a nice bit of comic relief though.
Yeah, she's a fun comic relief to have around. But yeah, so we have terrorists who show up. They're in the office on Saturday night for different reasons. Clark's doing his taxis randomly, and he's supposed to be taking Jack, who's come back from the episode with him and his little brother.
Yeah, I mean, they did make him an intern.
They did. We've not seen him since though, so they just sort of had him pop back up here.
Took me a second. I was like, who's this dickhead sitting around?
And Clark's promising to take him to the movie. He's playing a Game Boy, just to date this specifically. And
I don't think that dates it as much as Lois on the computer later.
Oh God, yeah. Even by 1994 standards, I do not buy it takes that long to send a message, especially when the message is like 3 letters.
Maybe the planet just has a really shitty internet connection.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe it's throttled at night because they're like, we're not using it that much, so we're not paying for it.
To what? It's a text file with three characters in it.
I know.
She types SOS, and then we have this like 3-minute sequence of her, biting her nails, waiting for it to go in the computer.
There's a really annoying beeping as well. So like, just turn the speakers down.
Until eventually the terrorist notices she's up to something. He comes over and sees it. He's like, Miss Lane, you're diabolical.
Puts a hand over it, like, yep, nothing here, nothing to see.
Alt tab, Lois, alt tab. Oh dear. So Clark can't really do anything because the terrorists have they're like, we've got a nuclear bomb in Metropolis, and if I see a hint of a red cape, we're going to blow everything up. And Clark's with the rest of the hostages. Lois is there. She's going on a date with Lex. So Lex ends up there. Jimmy ends up because Jimmy's there to help Perry spring clean, and Perry's got a lot of old junk. He's got a cutout of Elvira, which he claims is the reason why he's seen Godzilla 113 times. I didn't realize Elvira showed Godzilla on her show. That's news to me, Perry. But fair enough.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah, and that's a relatively recent reference at the time as well, because Elvira was like an 80s thing, mid-late 80s, I think.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like an old. Whereas now it feels like an ancient.
It does now. You're like, oh
yeah.
God, that.
Yeah. But I love though. Jimmy's getting like frustrated because Perry doesn't want to throw anything out. So it's like he's asked him to help spring clean, but every time Jimmy says this, throw this out, he's like, no, don't you dare, Jimmy. And he's like, if you touch my Elvis box. I don't know what he says. He said, it wasn't kill you.
It's a proper threatening thing.
Yeah, it was a proper threatening thing, though.
It was good. I remember it being good.
Don't touch my Elvis box. But the terrorists come out, so they all end up hostages, except Jimmy, who like sort of they don't see him, so he sort of sneaks off and gets to an air vent, and he's like crawling through air vents, just cracking jokes to himself all episode until the end. That's basically what he's doing. And there's a joke with Kat, of course, who comes in. Well, she comes in early on first, and there's a joke where she was bringing a guy here to have sex on the planet, and it's like, oh, it's a bit more crowded than she was expecting on a Saturday night. So she takes him away. But she comes in the middle of it, but while they're all in the room, held hostage over in the conference room, Kat comes in to like pick up. She keeps lingerie in her desk for some bizarre reason.
Of course she does. That's Kat in a nutshell.
And she sees them out the window, and they're trying to like signal her over so they can ask her to go get help. And instead, she just thinks they're giving her advice on her nightie. So they're like, yeah, thumbs up, yeah, and she just leaves.
Yeah.
And my favorite part of all this is at the end. Lois, her line just cracked me up. It was, if I'm still alive on Monday morning, she won't be.
I think that really explains why she's never back again. Lois killed her and got rid of the body.
That's true. That's true. Especially at the end when she comes in and she's like, "Oh, you never believe my weekend. Oh, it was so much effort. I spent half the weekend in handcuffs." And everyone just looks at each other. They want to kill her. Like everyone, even Clark's like, "Shut up, Kat.
Yeah.
Shut up."
And the guy's what's his name from Heroes, isn't it?
Is it?
I'm sure it was. If it wasn't, proper looked like him.
Nah, you're thinking of horn rimmed glasses, man.
Yeah.
I didn't get that from him.
Because I didn't at first, but I think it was the hair was slightly different. I think it was him.
I can find. I'm on IMDb right now. I can find
maybe I'm just right. It looked very similar.
Yeah, what was
it made me think of
I'm pretty sure his name was George, right? Yeah, that was George, because she comes out at the end and says, "Oh, George is more of a wild man."
Sure.
Yeah, he's been on an episode of this and an episode of the X-Files, and that's it. That's all he's got on his IMDb page.
Well, then he got replaced by the other guy, clearly, because they look so similar.
Yeah, he's not even got a picture.
He hasn't got a picture. Wow.
Nah.
Assuming that is George. I mean,
there's no one else it could be. I mean, everyone else has got a picture. I can see them all.
No, I believe you.
But, you know, it's definitely not Willie. Willie was the 80-year-old security guard.
He was indeed. No forgetting that one.
Yeah, so a big part of the episode is that, you know, again, you've got they're in the room, they're trying to like figure out how can we distract him, can we do something, and you know, people keep wanting to do things, and Clark keep having to like somehow talk them down because he's seeing that because there's a couple of points where he almost like breaks like Clark Kent character, where he's saying, I've calculated like the outcomes, if I can get to it that quick, it still blow up the building. And it's like, calm down, Clark, you're not Superman. You know, there's those little lines, but that's where a lot of the fun tension of the episode comes in.
It does.
And for the most part, I love this episode. This is I always remember this being one of the fun ones towards the end of the season.
Oh, it is fun. Yeah, we had I think this back half of the season's had a lot more fun ones.
Yeah, I think this and The Rival are two of my favorites.
Yeah, those are all great.
So no, there's a lot of that. You know, Jack thinks he's a wussy at one point, and then Lex is like, clearly we don't care a man Mr. Kent is, so calm leader. There's a nice little dig, actually. The head villain at one point, because Lex says, hey, I'll double whatever's in that safe you try to get into. And he's like, oh, from what I've heard about you, Luther, I'd rather have the cops after me. And I love the little glance, like Lois looks over at him, like, what does that mean? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And of course, you know, Clark tries to talk her out of dating Lex at the end, you know, be careful, blah, 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 blah. Usual things. But it's a super fun episode. Obviously, the flashback stuff comes in when they realise the name and that they're looking at blueprints. Perry's heard of this gangster. The building used to be like this hideout for a gangster, and there was hidden money. And we get flashbacks where Lex is playing the gangster, Clark's playing the sort of the Willie, basically the security guard. We find out at the end he's the mastermind behind all this, the nice old man. Lois is the dame, and Perry's the corrupt cop.
The corrupt cop, yeah.
Yeah. Jimmy's
just Jimmy.
He's a concierge. He's got a mustache though. He's...
but his name's still Jimmy. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. So no, I mean it's fun, black and white sequences, and I mean they're probably my least favorite parts. They're fun to see the actors play these different roles, but they do feel a little bit like padding.
It feels like a completely separate episode. Because that concept is something a lot of these shows do. But it's usually, okay, that's a whole episode to that. Whereas this throws it in its Die Hard episode.
I think it's just weird. Because, you know, the script without it was like 34 minutes out of like 44, whatever they needed. So
Yeah.
they made up the rest of the time with these flashbacks to explain what's going on. There was a missed opportunity. I feel like you had Man Pa Kent and playing roles in this as well. It's like innocent bystanders or something. I don't know.
That's too much casting.
Ah, come on. It's not in the episode. This would give them something to do.
No, I mean, they don't have to be in every episode. Clearly,
Well, they don't. I'm just saying.
who's in more episodes, Maren Park Kent or Kat? Just in this season.
Oh, the Kents, I think. Still,
I
I think so. I feel like at least there's a phone call usually, if not.
I mean, yeah, I suppose.
Or Clark flies over to see them because he can.
It's useful, that, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, I'd love to fly. It'd be very useful.
I would.
Screw traffic.
Yeah, traffic's awful.
Traffic and airport security can go shove themselves. I can just fly whenever I want. It's fine.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway, nah, this is a really fun episode.
Do you know the only thing that really bothers me about this episode?
Oh, go on.
So early on, they have the remote, the detonator for the bomb,
Mm-hmm.
and Clark tries to X-ray vision. He's like, oh, it's lead lined. I don't know if it's real or not.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it just picks it up. They just pick it up. It's like, never mind. Well, I wanted to know if they were bluffing or not.
I would assume they were bluffing. Because
I feel like they'd want to check as well, though. Like, let's find out if there's a bomb we've got to go find.
Yeah, they kind of forget about it conveniently at the end. Yeah, it's a little bit bizarre.
Like that bomb, if that's real, that bomb's still knocking around.
Yeah. Oh well, it's a shame Jack doesn't really stick around. He's a decent addition actually when he's just kind of interacting with the rest of the cast.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, but hey, nah, that's a fun pair of stuff. Lois ropes him into faking a heart attack at one point. He doesn't agree to it, and she just starts yelling, "He's having a heart attack! He's having a heart attack!" So he has to pretend he's having a heart attack, and he gets shot at. He's not actually shot, but he gets shot around his foot to scare the shit out of him. And as soon as the bad guy leaves, he's like, "Lois, if you ever rope me into anything like that again, the only writing you'll be doing is the recipe section."
Yeah. I did like that. The bad guy when he shoots around, it's like, oh yeah, look at that. That triple bypass, and it's scaring it out of you.
He's like,
Harry's just like,
I feel better already. No, that's solid. I think it's obviously it's a really tropey episode. You're taking the format of something and just doing it, but I typically always enjoy when shows do this type of episode.
You mean the Die Hard one?
The Die Hard episode, yes.
Yeah.
The Under Siege episode, if you will. If anything, I'd take one a season, to be honest. If you can think of different ways of doing it, I'm all for it.
Yeah, no, it's fair enough. Do you have a favourite Die Hard episode from any show?
Oh God. Hold on, let me Google some.
Well, I have no idea what you're googling here.
Die Hard episodes of TV shows. I need to be reminded.
Okay.
There we go. There's a wiki for it. Of course there is. Why wouldn't there be?
Shows that did Die Hard episodes?
There's an Alias. I don't remember that one. Angel.
Angel did one?
Doesn't give me a description for that one though. Oh, I vaguely remember though what they're talking about now. Yeah, okay. I can see.
It's not memorable enough to be the best one. Though,
I think they're stretching it though. They've got Lois and Clark here. Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem is a lot of these don't have descriptions with them. Only a few select ones do. Now when sitcoms do it, Chuck definitely had one.
Chuck had one.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine had one because I remember that because Jake was especially happy about the said Die Hard scenario.
Yeah, no, it was the same in Chuck as well because we'd been kind of teasing it for a while before they did it.
Yeah. Apparently, Mad About You had one that actually guest starred Bruce Willis, which is genius. Sure.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, why not?
Get Bruce Willis in there.
He's definitely playing the terrorist, right?
No, actually, it says Bruce Willis played himself.
Oh, that's boring.
And he's in hospital, so presumably the Die Hard situation takes place in the hospital because that's where Bruce Willis is.
Yeah. Okay, that's disappointing. I was hoping you get him to play the terrorist, or whoever's taking them hostage.
Oh, Mrs. Young Justice. We had that season 1.
Yeah.
Okay. My favorite though. I don't know.
The Chuck one.
Yeah, maybe the Chuck one.
And the Chuck one was particularly fun.
Oh yeah, Battlestar Galactica kind of had one as well.
I did it.
What's the Buffy one they're talking about though? I'm trying to think what the Buffy one is. From the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
It took you a second there, didn't it?
Yeah.
I don't recall a Buffy one, I have to admit.
What they count as that? I feel like there's probably going to be stretching something. Oh, Skill Hard. Yeah, okay.
That's not stretching anything.
It's called Skill Hard. Okay, now the reason why I don't think of that one though is because the actual siege section of the episode doesn't start until like halfway through. Like,
right.
Spike doesn't show up to the high school until like a good 20-25 minutes into that runtime.
Fair enough.
But once it does get going, technically, yeah, she's going about air vents and vampires have got the school under siege. That is technically true. I can't dispute that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Which is a good episode. Don't get me wrong. But as far as gaping on the Die Hard tropes, yeah, Chuck's probably.
Yeah, I think Chuck or Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Both of those had the most fun with it.
Yeah, they had fun with it. I always enjoy it though. Always enjoy it. Anyway, that was a solid episode of Lois and Clark, wasn't it?
It was. Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong indeed. So yeah, we'll move on, unfortunately, to Smallville. Well, I'll tell you what. I couldn't believe this episode.
This shit again. Look, we went through this on Arrow. I'm pretty sure we went through this on Flash.
That was like season 4 of Arrow, though. That's been a long time since we've had the bee puns. Come on now.
Yeah. And I was happy to leave them dead. Leave them behind.
Don't be unreasonable.
Oh, God. This is it for the rest of the show, isn't it?
This is season 1, episode 18. It's called Drone. And you wouldn't believe the plot.
You've already done that one. You can't do that one again.
I know, but still, I have to do it. So notable things about this episode. There's a student president campaign going on for the following year, and we get introduced to the candidates. We get the popular blonde girl who's kind of, mean girl-esque, and then you've got the nerdy girl with the glasses who seems to actually care about the politics of the school, and then you've got a guy who seems like he's kind of in between. He kind of cares, and he seems nice, like likable enough, and just going for it, right? And then Pete, probably the most he's done all season, is rope Clark into this campaign where Clark just walks around the corner of the hall and sees a big sign saying Clark Kent for president. Which, of course, the whole reason why we're doing this plot is so they can say Clark Kent, the man of tomorrow. That is the only reason why he's in this campaign race. I'm calling it now.
Oh, it definitely is. This is one that I can find forgivable, though.
So yes, the villain, which turns out to be the nerdy girl with the glasses, can control bees because she gets stung with bees next to kryptonite, and she now can control the bees as if she's the queen. And we get some horrible CGI for the bees, especially.
It opens on a horrific CGI bee.
Oh yeah.
That one that just it goes around the edge of the school, goes up to like Chloe or whatever. It's awful. It's probably the worst one, not counting the faces.
Yeah, it's not counting when it makes a face of her in the sky when they all swarm together to make a face, and it's like, hey, Joe, you think you're the Mummy now? I can't believe we're bringing up Brendan Fraser again twice in one episode, but we're going to the Mummy to make a face out of bees.
Yep.
God damn it. Surprisingly though, I don't think this episode's that bad. I was expecting an absolute train wreck of an episode, but by Smallville standards, this was middle of the road.
And everything kind of fits.
Yeah, like both Chloe and Pete have something to do. Although, of course, Clark's upset reaction to Chloe not endorsing him because at first he's like, I'm going to drop out, and then his parents kind of talk him into it. And he's like, okay, I'm going to run. And Pete's making posters and he's making meet and greets and all that. And Chloe gives him some shit for not actually having a platform, not actually having any stances on anything. What's your stance on the food in the cafeteria? What's your stance on?
There should be some.
That's not getting. It's just that's not good funding and blah 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 blah. And obviously, I'm just thinking, yeah, because the school president actually has any sway in any of this shit at all.
No idea.
But he comes in because she's going to be objective to the point where she's going to put things up for all the candidates, but she's going to do an editorial endorsing one, and Clark flips it over and sees that she's endorsing another guy, and he immediately just goes whiny and he's like, oh Chloe, I can't believe this, and he storms out, and then later on he's acting like a whiny little bitch, and all I can think is, no, you're the one who's been immature here.
No, it is, and that's the only thing I can appreciate about this plot is that every other character is like, what? No, stop
That's true.
complaining.
Every character calls him out on his shit, but
Even Lana calls him out on this.
It's so immature though that it feels just out of character for Clark. I don't care if he's supposed to be maturing still and he's younger. This is just so petty and childish. He's upset at Chloe didn't endorse him, and he's just like, I think the actual phrase he says when he looks at it is like, Chloe, what the hell? As if, what, you were supposed to just get an endorsement because you're a friend? Do you understand the whole point of being having integrity as a journalist? Like, what?
Yeah, how he ever ends up the planet, I have no idea.
I know. All of a sudden, every year at the barbecue contest, Smallville's cooks have a great review by him for some reason. It's so strange. It's almost like there's some favoritism going on.
Yeah. Who'd have thunk? Which is something that Clark actually says in this episode that I thought was kind of weird.
Least of my problems.
Yeah.
Least of my problems.
No. Biggest of the problems.
It's not Chloe Clark's drama, no?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
It's the bees.
No, it's not even that. It's the kid, the first guy, right, who gets put in hospital because of the bees.
Oh yeah, sure.
The one who's, actually the one the Chloe endorses, and he's printing out his campaign flyers, and he's got himself in a Superman outfit, the blue, the cape, the S. What's going on there?
I didn't even noticed that.
He's printing out, and he's in a Superman suit. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? That suit can't exist in this world.
I assume it's not the exact shape though of the emblem and stuff. It's just more of a.
It's got an S in the middle. It's a blue with a red cape and then an S in the middle.
But it's not like the diamond shape emblem.
I mean, I don't know without checking. It's pretty close, but
like I'll admit, I if there's anything visual like that, I might miss it from time to time on Smallville because I may or may not be touching up my Tetris skills as I'm watching Smallville because that's how I get through the episodes.
That is understandable, but
so I did not quite catch this outfit.
So horrifically, annoyingly bad. I'm trying to check it. I want to see how bad this was.
You're looking for it.
It's not quite a diamond. It's in more of a shield.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's pretty close, right? And it's yellow behind it as well, by the look of it here.
Yeah, but it's S for Smallville. The cape just happens to be red.
It's a yellow S, red behind it, blue suit, red cape. No, I'm not having it.
Look, I'm not saying it's not bullshit and it's not going too far. I'm just saying
this is the worst referencing Smallville has had yet.
Oh no, it's not. No. I will buy it that someone just happens on the color because it's just primary colors. It's just I can accept that someone happens upon the color scheme way more than I can some of the bullshit dialogue where people will say like key Superman phrases and wink wink. It's not like I'm a criminal mastermind, Clark. Wink. It's not like it's not like I don't want to fly and be in a suit all the time. Wink. No. This is not up there. This is bad. Don't get me wrong. I'm not defending it and saying it's good. I'm saying it is not as bad as half the lines of dialogue that we've complained about.
To me, it's worse because they tried to sneak it in. Like, oh look, this will be a fun little Easter egg. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah, he gets stung first. But he's only healed. He's in the hospital. The second victim, however, though, is beyond saving, and that's when things get suspicious. And I do have to call bullshit on how quickly Clark and Chloe, who are kind of fighting by this point. This is already after the whole hubbub, but they very quickly just go, "So you think she's controlling the bees then?" Yeah, I think so. I'm like, how did we reach that? How did we get to that?
Hey, she had the accident. Chloe, one was like, "Hey, she was stung by a lot of bees last year. Do you know where she was stung?" Oh yeah, there's a lot of kryptonite there, isn't there?
They don't know the word kryptonite yet, though. So yeah,
I'm paraphrasing clearly.
Now, I know that they've encountered a lot of crazy types of people, and it's not as much of a leap in this show as it would be in any other world. But at the same time, the speed of which he just casually, it's like this back and forth where she was stung by a lot of bees last year, and it's the other candidates that got stung. So you think she's controlling the bees somehow, but it's not like it's one thing to suggest that she's behind it and she's the culprit and that she is somehow luring them into a trap, but to immediately go to she's controlling the bees somehow is the very first thought that comes out of Chloe's mouth.
I think it says a lot about Chloe.
I just don't know. But yeah, of course they investigate. She threatens Clark a little bit because he's all still running. Because if she can't sting him, she'll sting the mom. There's a scene where she goes after the Clark with the bees and the Talon, and he has to hate Lana and he has to freeze the bees, and he's okay because he's Clark, he's Superman, he's fine.
He's
But
good. No bees stinging him.
But there's a ridiculously over the top slow motion sequence of Martha almost being stung, where she's kind of like she's doing almost the platoon dive in slow motion.
Yeah, at first when this scene started, I was like, okay, yeah, go for someone who you can hurt. She's out on the tractor or whatever it is, and you just see the bees come in. I'm like, okay, this works. She's running away. I'm like, okay, here comes Clark, and then it cuts to slow motion.
This, however, does not excuse the fact that when she goes to control, because she's in the barn talking to Clark, when she goes to control the bees, she literally makes a face as if she's trying to push out a shit.
It does, doesn't she?
She's like,
I appreciate that Clark's like, what are you doing?
And
what is this?
Go back to the start of this review where I said by Smallville standards this wasn't that bad an episode. Just go back to that. Back to that statement. I still believe that.
It's still true, but we're still ripping it to shreds because both things are possible.
And then eventually he goes to her place and there's an explosion, kills all the bees, and that's it. And he saves her because he's Superman and he's good, doesn't let her die. And that's the main plot. That's your A plot. Your B plot.
I knew you were gonna do that because I know how rarely you talk about A and B plot on Smallville, but I knew you were doing it this time.
Come on, that was if anything that was the most natural B pun yet.
No. This is where you intentionally say subplot and subvert the expectations and don't do the B plot pun.
Behave. So, I mean, it's really up for debate which one is the B plot. Well, I'll just go with Lana and the Talon first of all. The Talon's doing terrible. There's hardly anyone in it.
There's a coffee shop over the road called the Beanery going, hey, we're cheaper.
Yeah, apparently they're just getting their asses kicked by this coffee shop across the road. And Whitney's making all of his friends drink there just so that she's got some customers, and it's kind of pathetic. Notice how now we're at a point where Whitney doesn't even care that she talks to Clark. That's a good thing. It's a more of a mature response, but there's no I almost expected Clark to just say, "Hey, Whitney," as he walks out. He's like, "Oh, hey, Clark."
Yeah. They're over it, I guess.
Yeah, which is nice. I mean, I wish it was done in a way that was actually satisfying in a story perspective. But I do at least appreciate that they didn't try and keep dragging out the rivalry.
I think the bigger problem is I don't trust them not to just
go back to it at any second.
Instantly go back to Whitney being jealous and annoyed just because that's what this episode needs.
Yeah, and Lana is clearly still flirting with Clark by saying, "Oh, you should run because you're this and you're that," and when you look into your eyes, you clearly care when there's someone, there's injustice being done. Which, by the way, what do you stand for? Truth, justice, and some other stuff. I actually don't hate that one. That one's okay.
That one's okay. I did laugh at here as well. So he goes, "Okay, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna run after this conversation."
Mm-hmm.
And Chloe's like, "Why are you doing this? You didn't want to yesterday." It's like, Lana, this is because of Lana, isn't it?
Lana said she likes a presidential man, so Clark's running for president.
Yeah.
So I mean the Talon plot's kind of whatever. It's mostly just there for Clark to go and talk to Lana most of the times, and then Lex is there a couple of times and makes her think outside the box. And she actually plays really dirty. She digs up dirt on the rivals and gets them shut for health violations. So now the Talon business is booming.
I like it.
So hey, I'll tell you what. Even Lana was not as bad in this episode. I mean, it was a little bit forced, but it wasn't as bad as normal. I felt like when they were joking about, everyone quotes the Godfather, and then Lex comes in and quotes the Godfather, I'm like, that was an okay little joke. I'll give the points. That's fine. It's fine. Of course, it's like they were saying that everyone over 40 quotes the Godfather, and he comes in, and I'm like, yeah, Lex is not that old yet.
Yeah.
In fact, Michael Rosenbaum's probably about the same age as all these actors, to be honest.
Yeah, probably.
He just looks older
I
because his
think
head
to be
shaved.
fair though, he in this show as Lex, he acts older.
Oh, he does. No, he absolutely
right?
does. Yeah.
So the joke still plays.
But yeah, so yeah, I mean the Lana stuff. So I'm shocked that I'm saying this. The Lana content in this episode is kind of fine. And I think it's because as much as there's a couple of you should run Clark because you're this and you're that, and lovey-dovey eyes. And there's the one moment in the porch after the bee attack where it's like, oh, we should do this more often. And it's kind of dated
Yeah, I think
comments.
the worst part is at the end where she's like, oh, read me your speech.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's really cheesy at the end. That's fair. But it wasn't to the same concentration where every single scene with them, I was like, oh my god, every line of dialogue is making me want to pull out my hair.
Yeah.
Right. Instead, it was like most of it was fine, and there was just one or two scenes where they kind of diverted into the flirting, and it was like, oh, okay. So honestly, my biggest problem with this episode, well, maybe outside of the Clark being pissed at Chloe, was actually that Lex literally falls for a trap where a sexy woman is just like, by the road needing like help with a car, and it's literally just, legs are kicking out, and he's like, oh, I'm going to stop and offer help.
See, I don't mind that he does this because he notices pretty quickly. He's like, hang on, this is starting to sound like an interview. I know what's going on here. It's the fact that she does actually succeed later on in getting she has this hatchet job article, and I'm like, and she makes a point of saying she's a pretty junior reporter, right? This is like her first big story that it'll be.
Yeah.
I'm like, really, Lex? You got played by an amateur?
Can't beat a mighty duck. She's a mighty duck. I'm not just making that reference up. She's a Mighty Ducks. I recognised her and went, who is that? She looks really familiar. And I looked her up. She was in the Mighty Ducks. She was Connie, I believe, in all 3 Mighty Ducks movies.
All 3?
All 3.
Oh, that.
She probably been lost a couple of years after this as well, actually. So it's just funny. I'm so used to her being like 13, 14, because that's what she is in those movies.
Yeah.
But here she is, being the seductive journalist. I do like though when she's sort of like somehow. I imagine she's like a hitman, and she's like gagged the actual masseuse that was meant to come and like give Lex a massage.
It's when she says, "Oh, she couldn't make it today."
Yeah.
What did you do to her?
I know, and he's like, okay, I'll give you the story. You're persistent. I appreciate that, but I paid for a full hour. Keep robbing.
I can appreciate that too. That sounds like
my problem with it is just him actually pulling over because the attractive lady needs help. Just felt so cartoony.
It is, but I absolutely believe Lex would do that every time.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's there in his Ferrari, and he's like, "Oh, I can look good here." Every time he's gonna do that.
I suppose, but hey, that was basically Smallville. Hey, I'll say about this. This is as kind of compliment as I can give this episode. It's better than Arrow's B episode.
That's true, yeah.
Because at least the bees in this one didn't form a physical like body that actually connected together enough that it looked like he was wearing a suit.
Yeah, they did a face, but
yeah, it was awful CGI, but at least it was still, the impression was still that it was just like lots of bees making an image rather than all of a sudden they've made like fabric somehow.
Yeah. God, I hate that Arrow episode.
It was god awful. That will take us on though to Young Justice Season 2, Episodes 16 and 17. They are titled Complications and The Hunt. So now this immediately dug into like what we said was missing last week when we were talking about the 2 episodes. Like, it's weird how there was no Miss Marcia and Aqualad and Artemis stuff. This episode was the first episode of these 2 were all that. That's what this was. And it turns out Aqualad's already been cured, and they're sitting there pretending that they're still working on it, just communicating telepathically, trying to figure out
make a plan.
How to get Miss Martian out of this so they don't blow their cover and keep her alive, obviously. Meanwhile, Sportsmaster and Cheshire show up, try to kill for revenge for killing Artemis. They want to kill Aqualad and or Black Manta, Aquaman, Aqualad and Aqua Gentleman. You know what I mean? It's not my fault. He should change his name to like Kid Manta or something when he went evil. Mantalad, yes. So
Mantalad proper sounds like he's gone out for a hard weekend with the lads at the club.
Sure. So we have all this, and a lot of the fun of this one comes from them communicating telepathically. Deathstroke's there to keep an eye on everything, so they're having to trick him, having to trick Manta, and then eventually, like Miss Martian will be fighting like Sportsmaster or whatever and try to convince them, no, like seriously, she's alive, like Artemis is fine.
I think my favorite was as soon as they've got a plan, it's like, right, let's do this. Right, Artemis is like, right, hey, Deathstroke, I'm gonna go stretch my legs, get some coffee. I've been stood here a while. He's like, all right, cool. Leaves the room. 4 seconds later, in drops Cheshire and screws the whole thing up.
Yeah. It all kind of works out. for the bit. Eventually, Miss Martian kind of puts them all inside their heads and into this memory of Artemis, and kind of reveals that she's alive. And there's a sweet moment at the end as well where she goes back to Trisha goes to their mother and says, "Hey, here's something you should know about Artemis," so let her know. But no, this was a big episode for Miss Martian, I think, more than anyone, because it lets her get over a lot of her recent fears. She gets to fight back against a lot of enemies in this one. Artemis gets a lot of points. Do you know what I think my favourite part of this, though? It was Aqualad, Miss Martian, and Artemis all working together constantly and constantly thinking things through, and it really felt like this is the experienced team who have bonded together for a long time.
They know exactly what to do with each other.
As opposed to, compared to how they were early season 1, but compared to all the youngins this season, there's this camaraderie, there's this just in sync, synchronous, thinking, not just because they're hearing each other, but just because they know each other's moves, because they know how each other work, and they're constantly thinking outside the box and navigating what's going on, and I really liked that part of the episode. Meanwhile, of course, Nightwing is suspicious because all these team members have been kidnapped from the end of the last episode, and Blue Beetle's playing dumb. He's like, no, to the point where I was like, does he remember he did this, or did the Scarab take over? And
because he's like, hey, no, Zeta Beam, boom tube opened up. I flew up out of there on instinct. Everyone else vanished.
Yeah, by the end of the episode, though, we see that he very well knows what he was doing, and he is pretending. And at the end of the episode, he is actually endorsed by the Reach as like, hey, here's the hero to Earth. That he's like a mix of human and Reach, because he's Reach tech with human being and blah blah blah. And that's when Dick's like, he's suspicious. But he's going around and he's doing some detecting. He's been a proper dick basically, and doing some detectiving and figures things out. But it's good stuff. So that was the first episode.
It's quite straightforward, but there are some nice moments. Like I quite like the moment towards the end with Artemis and Cheshire, and she's like, "Hey, Dad only came back for his reputation. I get it. You came because you cared enough for revenge." They have a little banter, being like, "Hey, well, at least now you can look after your niece."
Yeah.
Just do some babysitting duties.
It was nice. It was kind of like, again, an evolution of like what they're really, because when she first ran into her last season, there was all this awkward tension, and here it almost kind of felt like, okay, you're still villains, and we're letting you go because you've kind of helped with the situation this time. But with Artemis, it does kind of feel like there's almost like a, I don't like, it's not the exact same as like Captain Cold and the Flash, but there's kind of like an understanding of like, okay, you'll do your thing, but don't go too far or I'll have to stop you. Kind of. There's a little bit of that there, which
at least
nice.
The two of Cheshire, not so much with Sportsmaster.
Oh yeah, because he's like you say, he's just out for his reputation. So then the second episode's called The Hunt. And my favourite part of this episode, believe it or not, is when the leader of the Reach comes on to Godfrey's show. And Godfrey's like, it's a friend, or a good friend, the ambassador of the Reach, and he's here. And it's going on for a little bit, and he's doing his usual propaganda nonsense. And then it just turns, and he's like, well, why was there an entire fleet of ships underneath our oceans? What else have you been hiding? And then he plays a clip from the interview, like from the press conference way back at the start of the season, where they're like, we only have this one ship here.
It wasn't from the start of the season. It was from the episode where they were all caged off in the Hall of Justice.
Oh,
they couldn't break through.
Yeah, well, it was a while ago. Whatever episode it was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is great. It's like Godfrey's such an enemy to us as the viewer, but like he's basically he's a cannon. You just have to aim him in the right direction.
Yeah. He's just completely destroyed their reputation.
Yeah, he is tearing them apart, which might actually lift the whole thing about, Earth's accepted them, therefore there's all these rules in place. Now maybe that gets lifted because now Earth can reject them, and
maybe, yeah.
So that'd be my thinking. But
it's so satisfying.
I was laughing my ass off during that scene. That was great. Meanwhile, though, Miss Martian and Dick are looking for the rest of the team, and we see that Arsenal. To be fair, close.
I'll let it off. They're both ex-Green Arrow sidekicks.
Yeah, they're both archers. They both start with similar, prefixes, but
one's got a robot arm, admittedly.
True.
Just saying.
But he's running around where they've all been kidnapped, but he's not, because obviously he rises. I'm not being taken. He was very adamant about that, and he's trying to survive, and Nightwing and Miss Marcia are trying to with detective work, try to figure out where they went, and they're and they have this heart to heart where this is my fault. I did what I did, and they wouldn't be in this situation if I had scanned, Green Beetle properly. And Dick's like, no, but you wouldn't have been in that weird state of mind if I had told you the truth about the secret mission, and you wouldn't have thought you'd killed, or thought you'd done what you'd done to Aqualad. So they have this sort of art. So it feels like we're culminating a lot of things that have been building all season in this last batch of episodes, and then it's actually we focus on the Runaways. The Runaways, and it feels weird calling them that because that's a Marvel thing.
Yeah, I'm like, we need to give them a different name, but then we're still calling everyone else just the team, so screw it, Runaways will have to do.
Yeah, so they get a mission from Lex to go and save them, and they're like, they saved us though, what are we going to do? It's like, no, we've been practicing, we're getting more used to their powers. So they get a Father box, and they boom in to War World, and and it's funny actually, because like, basically Ty tries to fight him first, and he's got the most impressive power because he's got the big astral like body, and like, tell me he didn't just take out our muscle in like 3 seconds. Tell me that didn't just happen. And it almost sounds like it's just completely DOA. They fight back a little bit. The killing blow though comes from the fact that Artemis has this idea. Sorry, Arsenal has this idea to release Mongol because he's thinking he hates the Reach. So if he gets Mongol out of his cage, oh dear.
Yeah. It's like Mongol versus Black Beetle.
Because Black Beetle's tearing through them. They're barely, staying alive with Black Beetle. And then and it's actually the Super Cycle shows up to Dick and Miss Martian. So they actually show in sort of at the last minute to like get everyone out.
Just after it's finished.
Yeah. So a lot of big action, a lot of that stuff going on. Again, it was nice to focus on these kids. It was nice to like give them this like, hey, you can save the main heroes now. You get this chance to prove yourself, and it kind of works because Dick afterwards is like, hey, you've kind of proven yourselves. If you want a spot in the team afterwards, you can. And they kind of turn them down.
Yeah, understandably, they're like, hey, a week ago you just wanted us in Star Labs just being experimented on. Now we've come and saved you. That's it. Okay, we're just off the hook.
And Arsenal goes with them. But what's funny is though, they go back and then immediately, like, Arsenal sees Lex sent them, and he's like, hey, this is the reason why I'm like this. He's the this guy's behind everything. He's awful. Whatever he did, it was for his own gain. It wasn't to save anyone. And Lex kind of admits, oh yes, I wanted this, this control of this thing, Deathstroke.
But it's like, but I didn't lie. The goals that you wanted, you still achieve those.
So then they crush the communicator, and they're like, no, we're on our own now. So they've got Arsenal with them. So Arsenal's got his own team now.
Because he got kicked off because Nightwing was like, hey, you went off book again. And that's okay, but you're intentionally endangering everyone else, and we can't be having that.
Yeah, which again, it feels like Dick's grown as a leader because he didn't speak up when he did it the first time, back in the greenhouse stuff. And now this time he's like, no, this is twice now you've went off book, and because of that, we can't trust you to be on the team yet.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. You're kind of on his side. It totally works. So no, but that was the 2 episodes. Really
good stuff though.
Yeah. It really felt like both were really advancing main plot, a lot of character stuff as well. After not having Miss Martian for a couple of episodes, it was really nice to have her back. And it was great having the Runaways have their own spotlight again, and them kind of...
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this little group.
And it's something I think we like about DC a lot, is the idea that they can pass mantles. Not that they've taken any specific mantles from anyone, but we can have new characters and new teams built up. And they don't always work. I mean, Lagoon Boy, take or leave him. Yeah,
I can't argue with that. He's one of the weaker ones, right?
Yeah, I actually cracked me up how Sam, every time she was using the because basically Lex explains how to use the father box, and Sam, every time she uses it, she just says, "Warworld, please."
Yes, it's the please afterwards.
Yeah, she always says
time,
please, and it was cracking me up. It was kind of adorable.
Very polite.
But yeah, that was Young Justice. That's episode 16 and 17. So we got 3 left, which means there will be a week with just 1, which will probably be next week because we have some extra stuff to do next week. So we'll probably just have 1 Young Justice next week, and we'll be back to 2 for the final week. And then after that, we're going to start doing some animated movies, just because we don't have enough time to really dig into another show before the other, the main shows come back. So we'll do it that way.
Maybe the week after we'll finally watch that Comic-Con trailer and discuss that.
Oh yeah, because we avoided it for spoilers' sake. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't need to avoid, but I just did just because I thought, well, I might as well wait.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just. Well, it does bring an end to the show. Of course, we would often pick our favorite episode of the week, but that's only when there's new shows on. So, this is just the end. Here we are. Can you believe it? It is the end of the show.
Look,
can.
We're recording something else after this. If that has one B pun in it, I am going to smash something.
You can be a supporter of MailFuzz TV and everything we do here by heading over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, and you can get a bunch of bonuses. You can get stuff early and get a nice warm fuzzy feeling in your stomach because you helped us out. You can of course support us as well by commenting, subscribing, watching the ads on YouTube. You wouldn't believe how much that helps us.
I was going to say, maybe if you support us enough, Peter will stop making stupid B puns every time one of these episodes happens. Because let's be honest, we're going to get more of them.
Yeah, I'll make a goal if you like. We can do a goal on Patreon to ban the B puns.
Yeah, okay. I'm down for it. It's a blanket ban that applies to screams as well.
Oh, come on now. You're not even on that show.
This is a blanket ban. The people don't want B puns. They're sick of them.
Dear. All right, I guess we're done.
I think so.
I guess we're done. I'm thinking of more B puns. Hold on.
I know you are, and I'm just like, come on, let's get this done. There's only so many words that you can.
I'm trying to think of how to fit in behest, betrothed.
Oh, these are getting complex now.
Between, I could do that one. I mean, you don't really see a between on it, so you say in between, but still, like in between. You can do it. You can nail it.
You still have to have a sentence around it. You can't just say the word.
Oh, sure, yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to think of a way to get them in. But yeah, so yeah. Connor's reading more Marvel books right now than he is DC, and that is a complete betrayal. That is a betrayal of his DC fandom.
I'm reading the most Marvel books I've ever been reading, but it's not more than I've got DC books.
Oh, I know. I don't care. I was setting.
You just said it was. I was reading more Marvel books than I was DC.
So I could say it was a betrayal. I didn't care about if it was true or not.
I wanted to make sure emphatically that people know that it is not true, and that is slanderous. Not have my good name besmirched.
That's beneath you, Connor. Stop that right now.
God, you got me doing it now.
Oh, in fact, I'm so impressed that in the entire time we're talking about Young Justice, I never mentioned Bumblebee.
I know. I was waiting for it because it was such an easy one.
Yeah, or even Blue Beetle, you know.
Okay, we spoke about Black Beetle.
Black Beetle.
Yeah.
Green Beetle. There's so many to pick from.
Oh God.
All right. Well, let's finish the show before we're a bunch of has-beens. So thank you very much for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Get us on Twitter at @mailed_fuzz or at DC Comics Podcast if you want more DC Comics stuff specifically. You can get me on Twitter at Wibble89. You can get Connor at ConnorRyan94. But otherwise, that's so. Thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. And always remember that sometimes we screw things up for the better.